Hey guys, in this tutorial I'm going to explain Laravel RESTful APIs. So we will be developing some APIs where we can log in, register, and we can access some APIs with authentication. So without authentication we will not be able to access those API routes, right? So here is some description about the RESTful APIs. We have some methods, some standards of RESTful APIs, right? So you can go through here. I will go with a demo. Right here I have already written the code. You also can download the code from here. This is on GitHub. You can clone the code and run according to your need, right? So first of all I have created a middleware which will be checking the routes. the, this is just a for security purpose, that no one should be able to access the routes without a secure token, right? So which will be provided, which will be shared with the developer who is working at the front end, right? Will be shared with that. So he or she can use that token in headers, and I can verify that this is a verified user for the accessing API route, right? So I just have installed the Laravel framework here, and I have installed Laravel 5.5, and I have given permissions to storage and bootstrap, right? You also can go through to install the Laravel. You also can go through with this tutorial. So here are some simple steps to install the Laravel and to give the permissions, to write permissions to bootstrap and cache folders, right? All right, so I'm all done with that. So first of all I will create a new class API secure key auth in middleware. So here is in app http middleware, there are middlewares, right? I will create a new PHP class API secure key auth. All right, I will just copy the code here and will explain also. So if you can see here, I'm just getting a API key. I will pass API key in header, and it should be is equals to the API key which I will be defining in env file. So env file is a configuration file for Laravel. Here I can define the API key like API key equals to let's say uh, coding for DEVELOPERS. Alright, so for example here is the API key. Let me set the database credentials as well. So for example I will be writing Laravel underscore web services, web services. Username will be root, password will be blank. Alright, so these are the database credentials. I will be creating this database. So I will be creating this through the PHP myadmin. Let me create this database. The database has been created now, Laravel web services. Alright, so I also have created the middleware for the API security or API validation, right? Now which now I already have created this middleware. Now I will be passing this API, this middleware to kernel.php, so that we can tell that we have, or you can say we will need to register this middleware into kernel.php. So there we have a route middleware array. Here is in kernel.php, we have a routed middleware array. So here we can see it like this is a alias like API key auth, right, which will be I will be using in route.php, right? I also need to include this middleware, because I'm not using the absolute path here. So like this I have created. Okay, so now I will be creating a base API controller. In that controller I have declared some, I have defined some success response, error response, or return response functions, some common functions which will be returned in, which will be used in APIs. So I have created in controllers folder. Here is the controllers folder. Now let me create a new PHP class, that is base API controller, and let me copy this code into that. So here is the code for base API controller, all the common functions which will be used in all the APIs, most of all the APIs, because we will be returning the response in every API. So this this controller is the purpose of, you can say, for returning the response. Right now, as of now, the purpose of this controller is returning the responses, or you can use it accordingly, right? So now we have routings in Laravel 5.5, right? There is a routes folder, there is a file api.php. I will be writing my API routes here, right? For example, I have, so all right. So here key auth middleware is that middleware which I created earlier here, right? So it will be validating the API key which will be passed into header, right? So whenever the validation will be true, then the user will be able to access this route. So here is the middleware group. Without this authentication, you will not be able to access these routes, right? So this route I have created to register the user, right? So first of, now I have to create the user controller, then a create function into that controller. All right. So here is the user controller. Alright, let me copy the code as well. I have written all the codes, you just need to copy and paste. Okay, so here is the function for, for creating the new user, or you can say to register the new user, right? If you can see, I have used a register request here. So what I am doing here, I will be creating a validation rules in separate files instead of writing in controllers. So for the controllers, we should use to return the response or to get the request only. So there should be only two things in controllers, in my opinion. Rest you can do according to your needs. So I will be creating a new directory in requests, right? In http folder, I will be creating a new directory, that is request. Then I will be creating a new class here, like here is the new class. So in this class I will be validating the register user parameters, that the name should be required, emails. So all the validation request I will be writing separately, right? So this is just to managing the code very well, and Laravel is providing such kind of facilities, right? So we should use them, right? We also can override our messages or custom messages here, right? So for example, name required, it says name is required, you also can, instead of that message, you can write your own messages here, right? So this is just an example I have given here, right? You can do as per your need, right? All right. So I'm done with register validations, register user validations. I also will be creating a base API request. If you can see, I am extending a class here, right? So I will be creating. So I'm just doing, a common function. I'm just writing a common function here. If the validation API fails, then to return the response I have created again just like same as base API controller, right? You can see here, yeah. So I'm returning the error responses or the validation errors from here. Okay. Now I as I told you already, I will be using controllers for getting the requests and returning the responses only. There are the two purposes for which I am using the controllers. So what about the business logics? I will be writing those business logics in providers. So Laravel provides the providers functionality. So I will be creating a user service provider over there. Let me demo it to you. Here is the providers folder. Alright. I will be creating a new class here, that is user service provider. Alright. So inside that user service provider, I will be writing all the functions here, like to register the user. If you can see in user controller, I have created an object of user service provider and I have called this function register user here, right? So here what I am doing, I am writing all the business logics here, right? So if you can see, uh, I also have called some models from here, like to register the user I have called a user model object. To creating a new access token I have called access token model object, right? So I will be creating these as well later on, right? So I also need to create a base service provider. This is just, you can say, for the common things, like I am declaring a common response format here, right? I am writing the logs here, right? These kind of things which are common, I can write in base service provider, like, because I am extending here, I I will be creating a new class here, like base service provider, and I will just copy the code here. Alright, so it is extending again the service provider which is provided by the Laravel, right? Alright. Alright, so now I will be creating a app utility class, or you can say a helper, right? Where I will be writing some common functions which will be used in all over the app, which can be used or which might be used in all over the app. They can be used multiple times somewhere. For example, I am using a function which can generate the password or has the password. You can say you will be passing a password as a parameter, uh, and it will return a hash of that parameter password, right? I also have created a function here which will, match the password, match the two password, you can say a new password and a hashed password which is already in your database, right? So I this was one purpose, that it can be used in multiple times, right? And the second purpose of writing these functions here is, like, if in future hash is got deprecated, right? So we can change our hashing techniques here with these two functions only, instead of writing or instead of changing our code, right? So this is also another purpose of creating these function in a common file or a common function, right? So let me create a new directory, that is helpers. All right, so now I will be creating a app utility class. Here is the class. Now this is the class. All right. So in my previous tutorials, I explained migrations. Right, migration is the beautiful feature of Laravel. Right, you can take a look over Laravel migrations here. Right, here I have explained the Laravel migrations very well with an example, with an video. Right, you can take a look. Right now I will be creating a you know a migration for products, or if you see there in migrations in actually in database folders, right? There is a users migration which is provided by Laravel by default, right? So you just need to change this code, like there is a up function I have written. So here is the up function. You can replace this code with this code, because I'm using some extra fields here. I also have done some comments over here, right? So I will be creating some timestamps here, right? So that's why I have overwrite this code. And now I will be creating a new migration, that is products. Let me create it. Yes. Okay. Migration created successfully. Okay. So it will create a new migration file in here, like, let me yes, it comes. Yes, this is create products. Now let me I again have written a function here which is defining the columns here, right? This is the migration for products. Okay, so now I will be migrating my database. Okay, I already have done the configuration, or you can say database configuration, right? Sorry, I actually, yes. So migration table created successfully here. So let me show you into my database, Laravel Web Services. Okay, so here is the products table, and which I created, and here is the users table which I changed the fields, where I changed the fields, and this was the default table which was provided by Laravel, and it is created by Laravel to keep the records of these tables. Okay, all right. So here we are done with migrations. All right. So now I will be creating a model, that is access token, right? So for access token, as you can see, if you can see, uh, there is a user service provider, and I have created an object, access token object, which is access token model. From the inside the app we have a models directory. Okay, uh, we will be creating a directory, that is models, and inside that directory I will be creating a class, that is access token dot php. All right, here it is. Let me copy this code. Okay, so if you can see, we also need a table, that is access token, right? Because we just created two tables, that is users and I will be doing this. So first of all, let me create a model, another model, that is users. Okay, might be I have not written the migration code for you know for access tokens table, right? So let me create another another migration access token. Okay, so let me create it. A.c.e.s. Migration is created all automatically. Okay, so here is in database we have access token, right? So let me recall the column names. Okay, so we will be having user id, we will be having user id, we will be having device token, this is device token, and I also will be having device id. Just a minute. Here's the device id, and I also will be having device type. For example, if you wanted to keep the API for the, like for example Android and iOS and web for three applications, then you can create your tokens for different device types. Okay, so if you see here, I have created all things, right? Here are the timestamps. Okay, so now php artisan migrate refresh. So what it will done, it will refresh all the migrations. Might be access token table has been created now. Yes, you can see it here. Yeah, all right. So here are all those things. Okay, I will be I will be inserting the access token uh, migration code here later on, right after this tutorial, so you also will be able to find that, right? So all right, so I'm done with this users model. Okay, so because now we will be able to register, we will be able to get the token. So after that I will be login. So if you will go to about here, I will be, let me write the route for login. In user controller it will look like there will be a function in users controller, uh, like to login. Just a moment, I can log in. Now I will be creating a login request, which is for, as I told you, I am using request for validations. I have written all the validation rules here. Okay, copy the code. Okay, so here will be the user service provider code for login function. Like uh, let me go to user service provider, and here is the function for login. So as I told you, I am writing these service providers for the business logic purpose, right? Okay, so now if the token has been created, then so the token will be created. That was first which middleware which I created was the for the static secure token, and this token will be created dynamically to the individual users, right? And I will be saving these tokens into my database. That the table was access tokens, right? So let me create another middleware, right? Yes. Okay. Okay, so we also need to register this middleware in kernel.php. Okay, so here is kernel.php, and like yes, kind of, and we will need to use this user auth middleware. Okay, and if you see, this will be the final route, or you can say we have created the route for, you can say, a new route for login I have created already. So you can say for the these are the routes which can be accessed after login only, after login or after registering the user, right? So here is the api.php, and this, so here is the another middleware which will be checking the access token in database, right? So for the logout and logout users, login users, I have created, here is the function in controller for the logout user, right? So in user controller.php, here is the logout function. Yes, so as I already have written login.php, here is the code for logout function, or you can copy the whole code for user service provider and replace the code, right? So I'm just writing the function here, right? Okay, so okay, create products migration command, I am done with this. I have created this command already. Yes, this is done already. Okay, so we are done with this. We also have created a migration for products already. Here is it, and now we will be creating a products controller route. Here is the code for products controller. where I will be getting, updating and deleting the products. And let me write all the requests here. In request there is php class request.php. Oh, I have created an xls file. Let me delete it. New php class. For the delete product requests, and I'll create a new service provider for the products. So I created two service providers actually. One was for user and second is for products. Here all the business logics for getting, deleting and updating the products information. Okay, now I'll create a model for product. Here's the model. Okay, now I will be returning some messages, right? So in there is a mess. I will create a new file actually. In resources, if you can see, here is the lens folder and here is the en for the English language I am doing. Let me create a file that is message.php, and here is the all the messages are here. Okay, so I think we are all done. Let me test these APIs in Postman, right? So basically the route for this is, let me take a look into the route. Localhost slash Laravel slash web service slash public. This is the base route. Okay, it is getting hanged. Just a minute, let me stop. I am using Postman. You can use another one, like you can use Google REST client, right? Okay, so here is the route, right? The base route actually. And now as I also have created all the routes, so the routes will be having a header. So in there will be header, like the header will be this one, and the value of this header will be whatever I have written here. Like I have written coding for developers, right? So let me write this, right? Now if you see, for for registering the user, actually, uh, let me go into the user registration. Yes, here is. Okay, so let me write the name, the name, email, email, password, the password, password is 123 raw, one status is one, or you can see actually the requests which can exactly let us know what are the required parameters. Name, email, password, role. I am done with this. Status is not required actually, that's why I was saying. So role is done. Role can be 2 or 3, right? So it will give the validation error again, like we'll check that. Okay, so device id, for example, it is kind of take. Device type, it is one one one. Let's say I have given one or two, one for an iOS and two for Android. And here is device token. Device token I can use for sending the notifications. That's why I have, because right now this API, you can say, uh, if you remove these device token or and device ID, you can actually code it hard code for the webs as well, right? So this will work actually. Okay, so here is the device token. Okay, now let me send this request for register users, and the route for that is user create. First of all, there should be API and then user create. Okay, let me send it. It says unauthorized. Let me check the body. Coding for developers. API key auth is coding for developers, and this is the same. So I send it here. Okay, let me debug it. Let me debug it actually. Where is the middleware? Middleware is in HTTP middleware's API secure key auth. So let me first get this API. Oh, it should be API key, not API key auth. Okay. Okay. So the API key validation is done. Now there are the parameters validation is required. The password must be at least of 8 characters and role is invalid. As I told you earlier, that role can be either 2 or 3. right? So if you see in body, role is 1, so it can be 2, and password should be greater than 8 and less than 25. Now send it again. You have registered successfully, and here is your access token. Okay, so here is the route. I'll keep this route actually, and here is the body. I'll get actually. Okay, leave it. So it was to register the user actually, and now if you wanted to log in the user, and if you get this login request, what I need is email I have, password, device ID, device type. I do not need role, device ID, device type, device token, and if you see in route.php, here is the login path. So the token which I got here actually has been saved into the access token tables here. If you can see it, let me show you. Yes, so this is the access token which was created over there, this one. Okay, so now we'll try to log in, right? Okay, oops, there was some error. API login user request doesn't exist. App controller login user request doesn't exist. Just a moment. In user controller we actually haven't used this here. Actually we have created use login user request here. Okay, so it will work now. Let me test it. Yes, so this told me you are already logged in, because whenever I created my account I got logged in actually. So this was my access token. So I have checked this. If you are already logged in, then it should say this is your access token and you are already logged in. Okay, alright, so this is the access token. Now I will be using this access token to get the products, right? So if you can see in api.php, right, there is a middleware user auth, right? So if you see in user auth, what I have done, I have checked access token, right? So access token should be there, right, like this. And now if you try to get these routes, you should be able to get, you should be able to access these routes. Yes, products get. So this is the get request. Products list is blank actually. So if you go there and yes, is there, no, insert and you can actually write seeds here into your uh, your code, your Laravel code. Laravel actually provides the facility to write the seeds. You can do this with the seeds. So, yes, so here is the products list. It will get again, if you will write another one, so you will get the array of products, right? So array of products objects, right? So ID, product name and brand I am returning, right? So but this API, if you write, if you pass the invalid access token, you will get an unauthorized request. Okay, so you also will be able to do update and delete and log out as well. If you post user logout, you will be able to log out. Post. Oops. Request doesn't exist. Okay, so in user controller we also need to add user requests. Okay, is there in products controller as well? No. No. Okay, yes, you have been logged out successfully. Now if you try to get the products, now products list which was if you try to access this URL after logout, you will be unauthorized user to get this. API product get, it should be get actually. Yes, it is unauthorized. Okay, so here it is wise. Okay, so you can also use these routes, right, according to whatever you need, right? Okay, thank you for watching. Keep subscribe my channel if you like this. Thank you.